Welcome to the Trip Show. We will be live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Trip Show, where we're here helping entrepreneurs build the next billion-dollar business. We want to support your journey, and we want to see more Treps win rather than lose. So, how many of you people out there can count the Treps that have failed to build a business from their idea? Anybody? I'm sure you can think of lots of them, right? Well, it's shocking if you count up them all. And that's why we're here. I'm your host, Gary-Dobbs, and with my co-host, Thaddeus Archibald. And we're bringing you Business Insight Live. It's Thursday, the 30th of November in 2017. And we have resources to help you become the next billion-dollar business. We could be out dining at the finest restaurant right now, but instead we're here spending time and money for you so that you can build assets and not liabilities. So let's get started and make some progress. What's going on, Thaddeus?
Howdy, hey there, neighbor. How is things? How is life?
Oh, it's pretty good, man. I think our jam session before today's podcast was pretty long.
Yeah, I feel like we are heading in a direction where we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And really, I'm trying to get like this silent mouse, so that way you don't be hearing the clicks. Because I know you got to hear the clicks during the show. I know for sure people have to hear the clicks. But yeah, I had a really good day today. Yesterday was pretty lame slice because I was going and taking care of some stuff and ended up having my car towed. At none of my fault. I'm not going to say the environment I was in, but sometimes random things happen and nothing you can do about that. And they make you pay the money up front. But then they say it's going to take like 6 to 8 weeks to get it back.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds like highway robbery right there.
Yeah, it's so crazy, man. That's how it is, though. That's just how the system is set up. Because it's you know what? It's really interesting because it does seem like sometimes there's systems in place that really just do more harm than good. So there's people out there, maybe somebody's out there and they're just struggling in life, and then something happens to them, and then they're the one who doesn't need something like that happening. Like, they don't need that happen to them. Like, people need to be like, hey, this person is not doing that good in life. I'm not going to put him in this situation. You know what I'm saying? But there's people out there who don't care. It's like, oh, these are the rules. So,
man,
your life doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah, I don't like that when people try to take advantage of situations like that. That's
what they were doing. They can clearly see that I'm from out of state. So I'm not from the state where this is at. And it's going to be a way bigger burden for me than some other person who is from Maryland. You know what I'm saying? So it was just really annoying that, basically I had to deal with that. And then I was just in there, this is completely off the thing, but it kind of goes along the line what we were talking about before, because one thing that I am good at doing is I'm good at speaking on things and talking about things and bringing up ideas. And there's a sign there that said, exceptions are made for special events only. And a special event happened. I don't want to talk about it too much because I got video of the footage, but basically somebody was wounded with a sharp object in the same area as my car. And of course, I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to just be staying there where people are like, you don't know somebody's going to be bringing out a weapon, another gun that can shoot, and then my car is right there, and it's just a dangerous situation. I'm going to try to get away and, And then I saw the person get, I saw it basically. And so I have that going for me. And I was basically making that point, and I was showing the evidence, and the person who had the control or whatever it is, whoever had the influence, I don't know, was about to do something with us, and then wouldn't change his, then all of a sudden change his mind. Maybe because the way I said something, I don't know. But now he made it worse for himself because he did say something. I know this is completely random. This is just a little pre-show banter, just talking about life. But it's just interesting that he said something, and then I asked him to repeat what he said because,
Okay.
And he realized the reason why I said that. And now all I'm going to do is just like, hey, man, you said this, so you're going to say this in court. You'll get a subpoena, and we'll see. But that's my yesterday, $272 later. That's how much a ticket
Man,
costs.
ouch. And who likes to be paying a bill like that? I don't.
Not me, man.
I talked my way out of a tow ticket before. When I lived in downtown Chicago,
my
car was parked around the corner, and it was near a fire hydrant. And they gave me a ticket, towed my car, so I had the tow fee and the ticket fee.
Yeah, that's what I had to pay.
And I showed up to the court, and I showed to them how it was illegally towed. So the court ended up wiping out my fees. Mm-hmm. I felt pretty good that day. That was one of those days when you walk out of the courts on clouds, because that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I don't like the court system.
No, not at all. The process sucks. Mm-hmm. And so I had to go down there and get my car, but eventually what I ended up doing was I showed them what they wrote on the ticket, and then the facts of like what I was dealing with when I parked my car were skewed. Like they were saying, you were parked within this distance of the fire hydrant and blah blah blah, and you violated this law, whatever it was. And then I took a picture and I showed them where I parked, and I showed the discrepancy, because when they paint the curb, obviously they're showing you like this is where you can park and this is where you can't park. Mm-hmm. So that's how I ended up getting out of it.
Well, I'm gonna try to get it dismissed because a crime occurred, and I'm not from that area. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you never know. There could be some scrupulous things going on, but hey, that's for another show. Mm-hmm. But today's show, let's get on topic. Let's talk about the levels of influence, right? Mm-hmm. And levels of influence. So what does that mean? Well, think of in the reverse of that, right? Like, imagine sometimes being alone is better than surrounding yourself with people. So have you ever been in a situation where you felt like, dude, I need to get away from these people. I'm not feeling this vibe of these people. This is not what I'm about right now. I need to separate myself with these people. I just need to get alone. And I feel like most entrepreneurs can relate to that, because they're always trying to build their business. They're always trying to figure something else out new. Most of the time, this is like hard work. This is like studying, or this is like learning, or this is like real problem solving. And with any of those situations, I feel like you either need to be alone, or you need to only be with the right people that are going to help you really work better, solve problems, and do your entrepreneurial work. So today's show, we're talking about levels of influence, right? So like, on one hand, you're talking about working alone, doing that hard work, doing the grunt work, grinding it out, and really trying to figure and solve these problems out. And then on the other is levels of influence, right? So like, you're working so hard at doing this. So like, for me personally in my business, I spend majority of my time working alone and working on solutions and solving problems that I can bring to market. So I need those times when I can go out and network with people and work with them. But to me, it's so valuable because I don't do it so much. Like part of my job and mostly how I plan out my time for the week, it's not about going and networking and just chatting and chit-chatting with people. So when I do that, I want it to be as valuable as possible when I go do that. Thaddeus, what do you kind of think about when it comes to levels of influence?
I mean, you know, we were talking about it, and I think there's 4 basic levels. I mean, there's variations in how one can come to the end result of what a level is, but in my opinion, there's 4 of them. And I don't know if you want me to go over the 4 that I think that you can probably use.
Yeah, give us a quick rundown. So level 1 being where you're starting out, kind of what's surrounding you, and then going up to level 2, 3, 4, like you're going up a podium, right? So like level 4 is the top, it's the center podium, it's where you want to be.
Okay, so basically the first level is the level that really starts from the nuclear family, like from your house. You know, I think it's the moral level of influence. It's when you're in your house and your mother and your father, if you come from a traditional home. I know I grew up with a mother and father, so I have those kind of values. No offense to other people who don't have that, but those are the values I come from. Pretty much like the same values that all life comes from, a man and a woman. And so that's the very first one. And basically just structure how you interact, how you, when you're around people that you trust, the level of respect that you have for those kind of people, right? And then the level outside of that, I would say, is the social level. And it's pretty much the people who maybe have like thousands of friends on social media, or, you know, if they say they're going to go to this bar, or they're going to say they're going to go to this store, they're going to go here, people pretty much follow it, and they're pretty much able to engage with people on that social level to where they understand that you're a socialite and you can influence people in a positive way or a negative way, however it is that you want to do it. Then the level after that, so you got your family, or just your regular your inner circle, and then you got your outer circle, and then you got, I guess, the umbrella that you're on. And I would say the umbrella would be like the business, so where you go to work. So you can be a boss, you can be a worker, but in some kind of way you have a level of influence, especially if you understand the first 2 levels and you can start integrating those different levels within another level to really reach the 4th level, which I'll go into after this. But it's the boss level. So it's like how, you know, me and Gary over here, we're running the show. I'm the co-host. He's the main host. So he's pretty much like the final say on how he wants things done. And really too much, I mean, and I'm just like the final say on how everything sounds. So if it doesn't sound that good, please let me know, because I'm definitely trying to get it to sound better. And so basically that's how that works. And it's just your business relationships, regardless of what it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you have a traditional role where you go to a work and you have a boss. I'm talking about your business relationships. I'm talking about how you handle your finances, how you handle your purchases of this, how you interact, how you follow up on your leads, how you do all that kind of stuff. Because if you understand that level of influence, there's a lot more that you can do. There's a lot more you can gain from being able to understand, like, okay, I'm a leader now. How can I influence people with positivity instead of negativity? Because, yeah, you can get people to work hard for spurts of time purely on fear. But there will be a time where people will not want to be afraid, and they'll rise up against what you're talking about, or they say, you know what, I can do it on my own. And they can just pretty much outshine you, because they're going to realize that, hey, it's better to use honey, you know what I'm saying, to draw the bee in, so you can swat it, than to use something that it would detest, because it's going to keep on flying around. And the final level, not to take too much of your time, is the trep level. And that right there are, your Gary-Dobbs in the world. The guys out there running things, getting things together, doing things from their, starting up their own solid foundation and seeing results. I mean, you got people like, people we're talking about on the show. We got Tim-Ferriss. We got Mr. Sonnenberg. We got all these people over here that pretty much have embodied all levels of, the social, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and just that other layer of intuition. Because I think a lot of good people that have influence, they can sense it. And I'll tell you a little story too. Like, it's just interesting. A few weeks ago, I was in the car with my friends, and for some reason, I was like, man, something doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know why something doesn't feel right. And I was like, yeah, it's not good to be Snapchatting and driving. But I was. My friend was sitting over there on the side of me. I was like, man, something is wrong. I don't know. Something just feels off. And then as I'm saying that, as I'm sensing something, like, I don't know, I'm not trying to say I'm some kind of this or some kind of that. I'm not trying to project any kind of those ideologies out there, because I don't really believe in that kind of stuff. But I will say this. Mm-hmm. Some people are in tune with the rhythm of cause and effect. You can be in tune with that, and you can sense that before other people. And like, as soon as I was saying this, all of a sudden, like 15 like cop cars, 2 ambulances. I was like, man, I knew something was going on. Nobody told me anything, but just out of nowhere, man, you could just see it. Phew, phew, phew. So it was like something big that happened. And then I guess it was like something bad happened. That's the reason why, nothing against Baltimore City, man, but Baltimore City has a lot of stuff. That's the reason I pretty much like being in Washington, D.C. or Delaware. Even though D.C. has its areas, not where I live at. So, but yeah, man. And I think that's the last level, the trep level. And then there could be a level beyond what a trep is, but it's just basically a trep with a mature trep, like somebody who's mature. So, like, you had the hot shots out there. I forgot that one kid who's like 13, 15 years old, and he's doing pretty good on Instagram. I forgot his name, but he's like a little gallant deal. Basically, like, I'm not saying that, it's bad what he's doing, but pretty much he just repeats what adults say, and he's a little kid, and everybody's inspired. Like, look at this little kid say what these adults say. He's just repeating what they say. I'm not saying it. I'm not insulting what he's doing. I'm saying, like, hey, he's figured out how to get a voice and how to be this way, so that's a good thing. And shout out, if you get his name, you can shout out to him, because I know I follow him on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, when you were talking about the level 4 trip, I was thinking of like the trip that embodies an altruistic character. Mm-hmm. You're thinking beyond gaining from your business and how it's going to impact other people, and so and the decisions that you're making is that you're actually trying to not make them only for yourself, but you're trying to make the right decisions, group of people that it's going to impact. And so with the Trep Show, what I originally thought was I had wanted to make it to where we could really help entrepreneurs think about like you're a $1 billion businessman right now. Okay, so like imagine you're in it and you have all this pressure and you need to know things and there's expectations of you. So wouldn't you rather be prepared right now before you get there than to be there and to be unprepared? So that's the whole idea with the Trep Show is we want to help you become the next $1 billion business person, right? We want to give you the skills and give you the abilities that are going to take you there and beyond and keep you there. So I like to see guys like Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, other people that have really stretched beyond their normal abilities and be able to get to a billionaire status and then be able to stay there, right? Like, if you look at the example of Elon Musk, he's gotten to where he is, and he's taken some pretty big risks, some really ballsy moves that I don't think a lot of people would be able to survive, but he's been able to survive those decisions, and he's been able to really weather the storm, continue to build his companies, and continue to on his mission, because he's really one of the entrepreneurs I think that is most clear that he's involved in companies that are at the heart of what he feels is important for humanity. So I feel like that's what makes Elon Musk so different than many, many other entrepreneurs, is that he's not just chasing trends or doing anything like that. He's really revolutionizing industries with the work that he's doing. Pretty admirable stuff. But I know that not all entrepreneurs are capable of that. Like, it's a very unique skill set to be able to do that. But I got to respect someone like Elon Musk that's able to do that, and not in just one industry, but others.
Yeah, and just a really dynamic person. Just a really, coming from South Africa, basically created PayPal. And I posted something about where he came from on the Trep group. I don't know if anybody's in there and they pay attention.
Oh, and so what was he from, like Johannesburg in South Africa, or what? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you look at like where he got, right, and you look at what he does. Look at, like, if the entrepreneur like listen to this right now, you're trapped. Listen to this and do something that you can make good money, right? Like, if you're building your businesses and you haven't hit that major success yet, goals being paid out tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars for a business, you most likely going to have an exit strategy. So like Elon Musk was able to get an early success and sell a business for multi-millions of dollars, and then he went in to go build PayPal with those guys. So PayPal wasn't his first payout, but and then PayPal paid them even more money. So now you're talking like this put him on a level to where he could actually go and start a business that he was probably really, really passionate about.
Yeah.
Really able to test himself and go out and solve major problems that are going to impact people around the world. He had the capital to do it. So he took out one of the biggest problems to have was acquiring money from people to believe in your vision. Mm-hmm. So he didn't need to do that at that point. Then he took that money from PayPal and went to Tesla. He almost failed. There was that time, I forgot what year it was, but he did say it was in December, and he was down to his last. He was all in Tesla.
Yeah, and then they went
back
public.
when Tesla had their first Roadster.
Yep.
Huh?
Yeah, and then he went public that same year.
And he had his first Roadster. Public very, very quickly. But he almost went bankrupt before that because they were having distribution problems and they were having manufacturing problems because they were revolutionizing something. So
it was taking a long time.
It was scaring the investors, but nobody wanted to put more money in. But I mean, that's where you can really test the level of your dedication to what you're doing as a Trep. Like, are you really going balls in? Like, are you all?
That's what I'm trying to talk about influence right now. Let's just think about that story you just told. Let's just think about this right. There's 3 people right now. And they're walking down the road, right? And then all those 3 people have these hopes and their dreams and they want to do things. Now 2 of the guys, they get together and they do what's working. You know what I'm saying? So they go and they build a stand. You know, they make their millions. You know what I'm saying? The other guy says, what's not working? I'm going to work on that. Now, fast forward to right now. We got Elon Musk. And you think about it, man. there was an electric car back in the 90s and the 70s. You know, I don't know if you watch that show about cars, but if I do watch a show, I'll watch a show like that. Gotta give a shout out to 20 Concept for providing the background music. By the way, if he's listening, what's up, bro? We gotta make another platinum track. We gotta do that. But as we fast forwarding to Elon Musk, where he is right now, knowing that how should I say this? Knowing that an electric car is not necessarily a new idea. There was already electric cars way before. You know. And look at him now. Technically in his own lane, from another country, living the American dream, manufacturing in America, and really guess who tried to come out against him? Like, you know, Nissan came out with something, Chevy came out with an electric car, all these other cars came out with these cars, but he's just too far ahead in the technology, you know, and he pioneered something. And I think that we don't want to, I mean, right now, what you and I are trying to do, the level of influence that we're trying to reach and aspire to reach, is on a tread level. And I feel like the reason why I think that we have such good business relations and such business mindset is because I feel like the three core values, the three core levels have been infused in our way of how we act, the responsibilities that we have, how we tackle situations. And I think that not that many people are that way, believe it or not. There's a lot of people who are faulty on level 2. Level 2 is probably the most faulty one. I think a lot of people have some sense of like moral and this right here, but they don't understand other people's. Like they can't understand culture and differences and things like that. So like, if it's not cookie cutter how it is at their house, then they have a very difficult time working with somebody who doesn't have those same values. And like for me, yeah, it's a difficulty for me because there's certain lifestyles that I personally disagree with, but I'm not gonna let that help disagree with me making money with that person. So I'm that kind of way. And
yeah, you know, it's hard. You can't control other people's character. You can't control like the situations that other people get into, right?
Yeah.
So I realize that, I recognize that too, what you're talking about, and I feel like there is a discrepancy when it comes to association.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's got their skeletons in their closet. Everybody's got there's certain ways of doing things. So we don't always know everything about each other. So you got to give people that respect, like they have that reason. Do the way the things that they do, you know, and do them in a certain way and be able to be who they are. Because at the end of the day, you're only responsible for your own decisions.
Yep.
Right? You shouldn't be judged by somebody else's decisions. With those 4 different levels that you were talking about, actually earlier, I wanted to say, I wanted to mention a little bit. Did you notice that that book by Tim Ferriss recently came out called The Tribe of Mentors?
No, you were telling me about it.
Well, I've noticed a lot of other people in internet marketing and other entrepreneurs talking about this. And I felt like, I have not read the book, but just by understanding the title, I thought it was pretty clever of Tim Ferriss to come out with that, because I thought, yeah, it's a pretty good timing to come out with this book, because most people are talking about tribes. They're all talking about creating your own following. They're all talking about culture. They're all talking about, you know, like starting a movement with what you're doing. And here Tim does is he recognizes all of that, and he brings up a title right above that, Tribe of Mentors, right? Like, how are you going to get beyond thinking just the people following you and start thinking about the people you're associating yourself with. So that's where we got this idea for the book, for the show title today, on being levels of influences. So Tim Ferriss is talking about tribe of mentors, and you should be thinking about, what are my levels of influence? Like, I want to get to a place where I have not just me, but I don't have just one mentor. I have maybe 5 mentors, or maybe I have 3 mentors, or maybe I have 10 mentors. So that if you notice that most of the successful, high-performing people, individuals in the world, they don't just have one coach. They have like a handful of coaches, maybe 2 handful of coaches, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like getting traps to think about that, and really try to get yourself out of this expert game, because I see the value in being an expert, and don't get me wrong, I think it's good to be to talk about yourself in a certain way and promote yourself as an expert so that people will see you as that and value what you have to say and listen. But I feel like there's a little bit too much of that going on social media. So I feel like maybe what more of the Treps out there should do to get yourself to that $1 billion business level is think about your tribe of mentors. Like, think about who your levels of influence are. Like, who's going to help you get to that next level from where you're at. So where are you now? Who's around you? Who's helping you in that situation? Who's not helping you? So you need to be aware of them. And then you need to know, like, okay, what's the next level I'm going to get to? So which level are you at? Are you just starting out? Are you level 1? Are you talking about just family and trust and respect and people around you don't really have like a huge valuable network quite yet? You might be at level 1. If you've been building your network and you've got some social value, you could be at level 2, right? But always knowing, like, kind of having some sort of a model, like a framework to understand where you're at is going to help you so much more on being able to get to another level, right? Because you're always going to take something like what we're giving you today and reevaluate it and maybe relabel it for yourself so you can make it more appropriate for yourself. But to help you understand a little bit, just be honest with yourself about where you're at and be honest with yourself about what you're capable of doing so that you can honestly make it to the next level. That's the whole intention of us creating these levels of influence, is because we want to help you kind of get to those next levels so that you can have like a pathway to reach that $1 billion business level.
And how do you
get there?
How do you use the influence?
Well, the influence, I feel like, is a little subjective. So, like, remember I was telling you earlier before the show, we were talking about the war room, right? And the war rooms is this nice mastermind event put on by the people that founded this company called Digital Marketer. And they have such a high caliber of people. I don't know how long it's been going on now, but they've got such a high caliber of people going there, talking about business and sharing strategies with each other, and maybe even revealing a little bit more about the way they do their business than they would normally because of the quality of the people that are there and the level that they're at. So I feel like the levels is such a great way to describe like your path through life. Like, I've never looked at it like 2-dimensionally, like where I'm just walking down a road and I'm just making a left or a right turn or I'm going straight. I've always looked at it a little bit differently, like more 3-dimensionally. Like, not only am I moving left or right, but I'm moving up, or I'm moving down, or I'm moving up and to the right. You know, so like there's more movement, and you're not just going on one plane, but you're jumping from plane to plane. And so this group war room is about all these, like Jay Abraham has been involved with it, Damon John's been involved with it, Joe Polish has been involved with it, frank-kern's been involved with it. You got all these people that have been involved with this group of mastermind of people in business that are really good at what they do. They've got some level of success, but they're just trying to take it to the next level, right? So even people that are as famous and successful as Damon John in business have room to grow. Like, he has not reached, he believes, I'm sure if you asked him today, he has not reached the peak of his business career. He's always searching for something more. So I feel like with Treps, like, you always have that hunger and desire, like, no matter what level of success that you get to, that there is another level of success that you can get to from there. And so associating yourself with people like this and a level of influence like that, if we were thinking of it in context of truly being at the top, so if you're at level 4, now you're really trying to surround yourself with other people that are in level 4. And you're really trying to, you know, learn some things in confidence that they're not going to normally share in other areas and other arenas, but they're going to share with you for being in a place like that. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs need to think about what you're doing and people you're associating with, so you can try to get yourself to those levels.
So here's the thing. How do you decipher when there is a non-level flow for playing the role of a Trep level? Because I know that happens, man.
Oh, okay. So, like, you're saying, like, if you're in a space and you're engaging with somebody, trying to act as if they're on level 4, but they're not. They're maybe on like level 2, or they're like level 1.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think it's going to mostly come out like by you just understanding, having some sort of grasp. So, like, let's say you take these levels that we give you, level 1, family, level 2, social, level 3, workplace, and level Trep, as a model for your levels of influence. I feel like the more you know them yourself and define each level and know what they mean to you, is you're gonna more easily be able to tell when you're interacting with somebody whether they have some sort of concept like that. Because they don't have to have the same one, but they need to have some sort of level of concept about it, and understanding and intelligence, which is going to come across in the way they interact with you, or what they talk about, or anything that they share with you. I think it's going to feel like it's probably that conversation you have, or maybe it's the body movement, or it's the language, things like that you're probably going to spot.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking on it before. I think a real thing that can really let you know is the people who talk a lot. I think a real Trep level entrepreneur is a person that, yes, they do talk. Yes, they do show confidence. And yes, there's a lot of things that come off in a way where, like, they kind of, it's like that raptured presence. When you're around somebody who's interesting and who's amazing, and, even if they just looking at nothing, even if they just sit at, man, why do you put your, like, just imagine, have you ever seen somebody, you just been somewhere and you're like, man, that person even holds his pencil in a cool way. Have you ever seen somebody write in like a weird way, like a little distinct way, how they hold the pen and they write?
Yeah.
And you just pay attention to that, and they're already like an interesting person to you. So you're like, whoa, this guy's interesting, and he does this little interesting thing that I want to try to figure out a way how to make myself distinct in some kind of way. But those people, one thing they don't do is talk unnecessarily. I feel like people who are in that kind of position, who understand that role, who understand that they're that person, maybe they don't know. Maybe they're a natural. I consider, like, not to brag about myself, but I think I'm like a natural. That's what people tell me when it comes down, like, to pick up. I mean, I don't pick up anymore. I'm saying, like, I was called a natural. I didn't have to go and follow all these little rules that people be using to talk to girls and things like that. But there's people out there that can just communicate in a way that people understand beyond what they're saying. Like that one time, like a very first conversation, I will always bring this up, man, because you were just talking about water. You're talking about something very simple and something very useful at the same time. And he was like, yeah, man, it's just important. And it's like, you know, people tell you things all the time. They're good for you and they're important for you and whatever and whatnot. But not that often do you hear something like that and you pay attention. You know, like you're a little snotty-nosed kid and your mom's telling you, oh, put your shoe belt, tie up your shoes because you might step on your lace and you never trip and you never, nothing ever happens. And then somebody that I guess is like in your peer group says the same thing, but they say it in a way where it's not like they're telling you like, oh, you're to do this because only bad things can happen to you. You explain it in a way to where it's like, hey, these are just the roles of maturity. And I feel like people want to be adults. I feel like Trep level kind of people, when they engage with you, that charisma, they make you want to be a better person. You ever been around somebody that makes you just want to get up and like, you know, start eating healthy and not eating meat, and you really try to do it and you realize like, man, I'm not there yet. I'm not mature. I'm not developed. I'm still a level 1. I'm still a level 2. I'm good with like that family orientation of influence. I'm good with like people that I really trust and really know. I can really work good with those people. But a person who's Trep level, they can work with anybody. It doesn't matter. They can always find a way to connect. And I think that's an amazing ability. And those kind of people, you can tell they stand out. It's not that it's very few of those kind of people in the world, unfortunately, like a true Trep level. And you know, that's gonna be another thing. Like people who are listening, you know, join our group, join our Facebook. We're gonna start posting on Facebook. We're gonna start posting on Instagram. We're just trying to get the numbers up before we start posting. So, because once we start, we're gonna be having, you know, little tidbits, you know, that you can repost, that you can share, and that you can just be in touch, because we want to be able to be reached in all different ways. And tell us what you think. Who you think would be a Trep level entrepreneur. Like, if you can just send it to us, follow us on our page, subscribe, or you can also go in all the different areas and social medias that we touch, and tell us what you think a Trep level entrepreneur is like right now. And it doesn't have to be somebody famous. It can just be whoever, because they're out there, and you can be one too. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to groom and get people together, and into that level of understanding. Like, hey, what's the real goal of what a Trep is? And you know, and you said it was the EEEC. You know, engage. Well, you want to tell them this, or you want me to say it?
Oh yeah, okay. EEEC.
Yeah.
And that's you want to educate people, and then you want to engage with them, and then that's going to empower them so that you can connect with them.
Yep. But how did you?
That's our whole intentions here behind the Trep Show.
Yep. And I think that's how you build as a Trep, as an entrepreneur in general. That's how you build. That's how you grow up. And that's how you reach another level of whatever things that you're trying to do. And I think that it's important for us to get to this point of like understanding, okay, what is a level of influence? And why is a level of influence important? And you were talking about, you know, the war room and how a great environment that would be for a Trep level type person to be inside, to be in that camp full of like other wolves that are out there and alphas, you know, and really understanding what they can bring to the table. I feel like when people really understand how they can change the mood and change the environment just by stepping into the room and just really creating opportunity with their presence, because that's what I want to be. I want to be that person that people say, man, that is Archibald, Gary-Dobbs. If we can somehow get connected with them, I have my own ideas. They got like a platform. We can create, we can build some kind of way. I like working with those kind of people who like, they see what tools another person has and they really understand like, hey, let's use these tools in this way where we all get what we're looking for out of doing this. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody out there right now that really wants to put it all out there and really work and really just put themselves to the side and really just think about one simple, this is where we're going. This is direction. And I feel like I got some people out there right now that me and the business partner are going to be like, hey, we're going to just from the bottom up, we're going to just truly invest in you. You know what I'm saying? Imagine somebody saying, hey, we're going to put money behind you. So that's what we're about to do.
That'd be major moves, you know? And based on what you were talking about, it made me think about some mind nuggets that I wanted to give. It's a little relevant to levels of influence, but I think this has helped me. I've got 2 letters that I always keep on my desk, right? And these 2 letters each have a word on top of them. And they tell me about the choices that I have, about no matter what I'm going through, about they tell me how I'm going to think about it, right? So like you've got 2 options. You've always got situations you're going to involve in anything that's happening to you. I feel like there's a mindset. You can either have a riches mindset or you can have some sort of a like penalties mindset. So like some people might call this positive and negative, but I've got these letters on my desk and one is titled riches. The other one's titled penalties. So I'm going to read to you what these mean, right? So now imagine that nobody's ever explained to you the way the world works. And they've never, like, you don't have any experience of it. You don't have any thought about it. You're just being told, like, this is how you think is going to determine your future. So if you think of in terms of riches and blessings, and you think with sound health, you think with peace of mind, you think with the labor of love of your own choice, you think with freedom from fear and from worry, you think with a positive mental attitude, and you think with material riches of your own choice and quantity. So hopefully you're going to go back and play this podcast to write these things down, because this list is the opportunities that are available to you. So all you have to do is make a choice. You just got to decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, and how you're going to do it. Plant your seeds and water it every day. That's my advice to you for your riches. All right. So let's go into penalties. Now, I hope you guys are going to take that section and replay it and write it down, because this is good. When you write things down, you have to understand that it creates a different memory inside your brain, creates a different reaction for your experience. So for some people that are really good with memory and just to think about things and they can memorize, that's good. But there is a value to writing things down. So if you can go back and write those things down, promise me, the more you write it down, the more you're going to get it, the more it's going to help you.
Yes.
Now, if you think of your penalties and you think of negative, like a negative mindset, penalties.
I'm one of those.
This is a person that thinks of, always thinking of ill health. Negative mind always thinks about fear or worrying, or this person always thinks of an indecision and doubt. This person thinks of frustration and discouragement throughout their life. This person also thinks about poverty, unwant, and they also think about a whole flock of evils consisting of envy, greed, jealousy, anger, hatred, and superstition. So this is a list of prices a person has to pay for neglecting to take possession of their own mind. So if you can imagine, like, I just gave you 2 lists. The second list is what happens to you if you don't take control of your own life, your own mind. So when you have a negative thought, you need to acknowledge that, and you need to wipe it out. You need to correct it. You need to give yourself like a positive thought. You need to give yourself some sort of blessing. And think about that, because these things are now, Thaddeus, you and I have had this conversation. Remember, I've told you that I feel like people are like they're like software programs. So I feel like a person's mind is, you can put anything you want in your mind. It's like a CD. So it's like, what CD are you going to play? What music are you going to listen to? You know, what are you going to plug into and really try to get to know and feel and learn? I feel like that's under your control. So you got your choice: penalties or riches. Are you there, Thaddeus?
Yeah. I was listening to you said penalties or riches.
Anything, so I wasn't. What are you over there testing?
I was just listening to what you're saying. I thought you were going to say more. I didn't know if you were asking me to respond, or you were just telling me there's penalties or riches.
No, I was waiting for you to say something. See what you were doing.
I'll just,
But yeah, I mean that's how I wanted to end it. I wanted to share those things with you, because I feel it's really important for people to understand that it's like, I know you can feel like sometimes you're working so hard and you're doing things and your mind just going and going and going like a hamster wheel, but you have to realize that everything you have, like your mind, your physicality, and your spirit, is under your control. It's not under anybody else's control. Nobody has that control over it. You have control over all of that. So for me, when I read those things first, and when I first learned about them and written them down and put them as a message to myself, and put each list in an envelope next to my desk, it was to help to remind me of the options that are available. Like, I can think in terms of blessings, or I can think in terms of penalties. It's my choice. And so it's a real hard reality to accept, because I don't know about you, but I've heard many people that are successful and have gotten to where they are. They say, where you are right now is a direct reflection of how you thought of yourself over the past 10 years. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah. I heard it in a different way.
Now, this is a really like huge pill to swallow. This is like, you're sitting there, and Morpheus from the Matrix is giving you the blue pill and the red pill. He's asking you which one you want to swallow. This is a huge pill to swallow, right? Because I'll admit, I've had times where I thought about this and I thought, no way, man. There's like absolutely no way am I responsible for everything. Like, just absolutely no way. It's over 10 years, like, for who I am today, like, I need to take full responsibility for that. I've had those times where I thought about that. And I'm like, there's no way. Thought. There's no way I'm like fully responsible. Scary, other people are responsible too.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that?
Man, like, I think a lot of people think I'm like a nihilist or nihilist, however it is, man. Like, if I had free ability to think like how I wanted to think, I would be probably along those lines of nihilism. And really, like, so I have a different view of that, like, because my whole understanding, like, the ultimate purpose and things like that, and I believe in the ultimate purpose. At the same time, I think the way time works and all this other crazy stuff, it gives me some really different kind of thoughts So I don't want to go into that because it's not really business type. So for me, I wouldn't really see it that way though. I wouldn't see like the time. I look at this. We're culpable for our actions. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we're only reacting because somebody else caused us to be. Somebody put us here in the first place. So your whole entire life, you're making a series of choices based off somebody else's choice of putting you on Earth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you really think deeply about that, and you really like get into the mind of that, it gets you to start thinking about some really crazy things about how can I better myself? How can I go against the grain? Because some people, you just got to know that if you didn't even have any say, like you didn't physically have any say in being here right now, but you have to make decisions. It sounds kind of crazy though, doesn't it? If you really think about what I'm saying. And you got to make decisions. And you want to be an entrepreneur. You want to be a leader. You don't want to be a follower. And if you are a follower, you want to follow the best people. You want to be following the people who are really performing. And I think that what we're doing is we're getting a track record together. We're getting a catalog. We're getting people to know that, hey, we're not just two chums. We're not two schmoes talking to nobody online. I believe that we do have a few listeners that listen on a consistent basis, and we just got to learn how to better communicate the ideas that we have and what we're trying to do, so these people can understand that we are really laying out a foundation. I'm not going to necessarily say, hey, we're going to tell you how we're going to get to where we're going, but we're definitely like behind the scenes really working towards something so that we can just more than have our words, we can have actual examples. I mean, you can look up on like some of the projects I've done online, and you can see that my outreach is pretty well out there, you know. And I've been doing a little bit of this and doing a little bit of that. Same thing with Gary. You know, he knows a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people respond to him. And that's because he's a trustworthy person. And people find value in trustworthy people. Trustworthiness is a very rare thing nowadays, because everybody is trying to get their inch in before the next person and really leave people behind. And I feel like, Gary, you're not one of those kind of people that's going to leave somebody behind. And I think that's another pillar in a future trip. You got to really understand that don't ever get to this point in the development of you, when you look in the mirror and say the development of me. And, you know, like how Gary likes to write things down, I'm a memory person. I like to remember. I like to think about things. Because me personally, like, I have all this this technology, and I use it, and it's a really great thing to use. And I'm getting a call right now. Hello there.
Hey, what's up? I'm back. It looks like we had a disconnection there.
I was still talking, man.
Were you?
Yeah.
Well, I looked down and I noticed I couldn't hear the music in the background, so I had to call you back real quick.
And now there's like a little buzz in the call. Huh. I don't know what's going on, but when you talk, I hear like a little fuzz sound. Like a crackling sound.
Oh.
Well,
hopefully... Well, that's what happens when you got the studio, when you got the podcast in the studio, right?
Yep.
Like we said, like this podcast is a brainstorming session. It's about putting ideas together. It's about making things work.
Yeah. But I guess because of these technical difficulties, it would be a better time for us to take a brief pause or to close the show out. What do you think, man?
Well, we hope when you're listening to the show, too, you get that sense of vibe, like you're in the studio, your brainstorming session, you're with us, you're in there in the lab, working on your business, working on your ideas.
Yeah.
That's what we want to bring to you.
Because that's what we are, man. We are those
that's
guys.
That's what we are. I mean,
we're really doing it, man.
Typical marketing expert podcast where we're just trying to prove to you that we're the number one and we're the experts and the only ones to listen to when it comes to this, right? I mean, we really want you to connect and vibe with us on the podcast and resonate with what we're talking about, so we can not only we're inviting you into our lab and our studio, but we want you to invite us into your lab and your studio and share with us what you got cooking.
And let's really work together. And I got rid of the click on there, so if you still want to continue, we can. But I do like this.
That's good.
But I had to turn you off. I had to mute you and then connect you back. I don't know. This is the way the signal sets up. But yeah, I think what you're saying is awesome. And I think that we need to figure out a way how to create a collaborative. You know, we can call it the collaborative. And just start putting it out there and start getting people to understand, like, hey, we're not doing it just for our own fame and to be up there and see who, when they stands up, their stream is stronger than the next man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do that. You know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to get to $1 billion, bazillion dollars. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to use $100 bills as tissue. You know what I mean? For no reason. For no reason. Because I can. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, man. I like that idea.
Charmin 100s. Big faces. Yeah. So I kind of was like, it kind of threw me for a curve. You know, the little...
Well, with the sound trouble at the end?
Yeah. But,
well, that's all right.
That's the end of the show. And thanks for listening in.